Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Gif.
A little slow on that one, Pete.
He's a little slow on a lot of things.
I enjoyed
you
Gifford
know,
mouthing the intro
been a
along
long
with
day.
me. That was
I told you,
fun.
I like
Right.
the intro. It's, you can set your watch to it.
that is true.
It is. Is that Hummel on the drums, by the way? That's
Yes.
probably is.
Hummel
Our good
bringing us
friend
in
Ron
with some
Hummel.
Preacher Row.
He's the best. We love him.
All
Yes,
right. We are finishing up 2003 that we're doing in reverse kind of tonight. So we've spent the first 3 weeks talking about Christmas.
Beep, beep.
So the Christmas music one was not necessarily related to 2003, but it related to the Christmas theme. And then we did our two movies from 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Christmas is done and we're looking ahead to a new year, we thought we would just do our general review overall of the year that was 2003. And what were those other things that we did not yet discuss?
Well,
So what do we
We have a-
always like to start our months off with, guys?
I can't remember.
Memories.
That's it. Gifford doesn't
I
have
get
a good
it, I
memory.
get
So this
Yes,
is
the
the
memories.
episode where we dig into our memories and talk about what we can remember from 18 years ago
Yes.
when we were 27 years old.
27. Yep.
27
old.
years old. All right. Well, Giff,
Yeah.
why don't you go first since you're always
Okay.
the best at this?
I am the best at this. So in 03, so this would have been the third summer living in our townhome after I got married to my wife. And we would hold 4th of July parties.
Oh,
you guys
I remember
would come
these
to.
well.
Yes, and we would go play some softball and have some drinks. And I think we grilled. Didn't I grill as well? We'd
Oh,
have
yeah.
burgers.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So that
We
was
even took team pictures for softball.
well, I have those. I have those team
Yes.
pictures. So that was fun. 4th of
Post them
July
on Twitter.
party, birthday party over at my place.
Pete, I don't think we caught that.
What'd you say,
I
Pete?
said you should post those on Twitter.
Oh, yes.
I'll find them. I'll find them and put them up there.
Maybe
Another
wait
thing-
until the 4th of July.
Oh,
yeah.
that'd be amazing.
Hey, Giff.
Yeah,
So those were great parties, but why is 4th of July so important to you?
that's my birthday.
That's right. He was born on the bicentennial of the United States.
Bicentennial baby.
That's right. Anybody out there trying to steal my identity? Now you have my birthday.
Well, that's
middle-
step one.
middle name Lewis. So another thing
Keep going.
that we would do with another college friends of mine, we would rent ice fishing houses up on Mille Lacs, and we would spend a weekend, normally over Martin Luther King weekend, and we would head up and go ice fishing, which was a lot of fun. We would go with a group of anywhere between 10 to 14 people, and we'd rent the fish houses, and about half the people there would go and actually want to fish, and the other half, and I was in the latter half, would just go to drink and play cards and commiserate about our college days.
Hold on.
yeah.
Commiserate?
Isn't that a word?
Is it a word? I don't know.
English teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right.
Reminisce.
It's not even an uncommon word.
Right. Reminisce.
It's
why do you do this
kind
to
of an
yourself?
uncommon word. I mean,
It's a
How
good
often-
word showing that he's a
Not-
smart
not
young
in the-
man.
Not
it's a
in the
good
sorts
word.
of
I just
different
don't
houses.
use it a
Maybe-
lot.
Maybe in Pete's household.
All right. I'll be
Yeah.
commiserating.
So what I
I
remember
can't
from
believe that that just blows my mind.
Commiserate? I
Yes.
think I've got an okay vocabulary. All right.
I
but- all right.
thought you did.
I thought I did too, but
You're
I'll
quite
have to-
witty.
it's okay, but not stupendous.
That word I know.
Wait a minute. Stupendous?
Yeah. What I remember specifically from the 03 year a year that Courtney was in Costa Rica for a friend's wedding. So we were talking on the phone, and I was in, I think it was 25 below wind chill while talking to her in Costa Rica, and she was sweating profusely in the humidity of
Really?
Costa Rica.
Real weenie shrinker.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Not, and I don't need help there either. Another thing that, and I don't remember if this was included in 03, but we would go as a group to the Twins opener. Would that been
Yes. Oh, yes.
03?
I believe yeah, totally. I believe the first year we went was 02, and I think we went for 3 years at least in a row.
Well, I know Courtney was pregnant, so it might have been 4. I thought the last year we went, she was pregnant with
Yeah,
Sam.
well, yeah, I know we went in 04.
So that would have
You're
been
right.
5.
03 is the year I believe that we got there early and we got the seats in right field right above the baggie, and we got there in the first row.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that was actually that particular year.
I went one of those times, I think. Did we go with a big group with some of our
We
other
went a
friends?
huge group. I would have think we would have
go-
been there every year,
yeah.
Pete.
Yeah,
We'd go
yeah,
with
yeah.
a
Why
pretty
wouldn't you be
decent
there?
size group. I don't know, maybe like 15.
Because we actually got the group rate. We had like a 25 the first year or something.
Was it that many? Okay.
Yeah.
I actually missed the Metrodome, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, boy.
Would you like to commiserate on some stories of the Metrodome, Pete?
I don't need to. I just want to
Okay.
say that does bring back nostalgic memories.
Yes.
I kind of miss the Metrodome.
Well, we
But
did
anyway.
discuss in our very first inaugural episode, 1982, you and me, Pete, we talked about the opening of the Metrodome that year. So
That's right.
people could go back, start with our first episode, and hear your thoughts on the Metrodome.
All right.
Please
We'll
do
wait.
that right now. And then come back here.
Put us on pause. We're waiting. All right.
Well-
Thanks for listening to our 1982 episode. Now we're back.
You should upload the entire episode right in the middle of this one. What? It's only like 2 hours or something, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, that's our longest one ever. So
Right.
Yeah.
This was also a year when I was early into doing flooring installation, which I still do now for myself. But I was working with a good friend, Rob, down in the cities.
How to have
And-
floors.
Yeah. And we also had our silent partner, Dave. He got married this year in 03.
we sure
Correct.
did.
A silent partner. He is not silent.
And the last thing I did want to bring up, this was the year that the Minnesota Wild went to the Western Conference Finals. They made a great run.
I remember that.
The first 2 rounds, they got down 3-1 and battled back to win in Game 7s. And then, of course, they got swept in the in the Western Conference Finals by the Ducks. But it was quite a run those first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and a lot of fun to watch.
Vancouver and Colorado.
Yes,
Yeah.
Colorado first round, Vancouver second round.
Oh,
Yep.
how about that? I didn't even have it in front of me. I just remembered that was from memory.
Hey, how
That's-
about this?
Yeah.
Mr. Hockey here, me, who doesn't even watch. I'll tell you who hit the game-winning shot in that series.
Let's hear it.
Andrew Burnett.
Excellent. And who does he coach right now?
That I can't tell you.
Oh, he's Florida Panthers coach.
Okay. Head coach?
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to
Hey,
get into
Giff.
that? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
You know, for a guy who thinks he can't remember anything, you do a really fantastic job. That
Well,
was really good.
What I really like is that you guys come in to help lengthen the the experience. So that's
You got
good.
as much as I did. So
You
some
got
of mine
more
are
than I
similar
do.
to yours, so I'm going to pick up where you left off. So you mentioned our silent partner, Dave, who's silent here but nowhere else. He got married that year, and
Yeah.
so his wedding was a great memory. I was in that wedding, and so that was really fun. But that was also because of that wedding, we took a trip to Vegas, and we brought this up once time before. So you could go back and listen to our Vegas vacation episode right now. We'll wait for you again. And we discussed our Vegas trips, and one of them was that he and his, at the time, fiance had a combined bachelorette party in Vegas, and Gifford did not go because he was morally opposed to such things.
That, and I couldn't afford it, but
Yeah.
yes.
But I went. It was a great time. My wife was there, and for the most part, the girls did their thing and the guys did their thing. There was a couple
Oh,
combined
that's a
things.
hold on a minute there. The girls
What?
did their thing in Vegas. All right, go on. Never
Anyway,
mind. I was
it was
joking.
a very fun trip. I think there was about, I don't know, how many of us were there? Probably about 10 or 12, like 6 couples, or a couple that didn't work couples either. Like Hummel was there and he didn't have a partner at the time. But it was great. And we went to, did a lot of different things anyway. So that was one trip. But then I had completely forgotten. I almost left this off, but I actually took 2 trips that year. And my wife and I went on a cruise. We went on our first cruise to the Caribbean over spring break. And it's the only cruise we've ever been on. And I really enjoyed it. We were going to go on a Alaskan cruise in 2020, and that got, what's the
Right.
word?
Canceled,
Uh,
postponed,
Yes, I was trying. There was a different word I was looking for.
Commiserated.
commiserated.
Anyway, it got X'd out. We did not get to go to Alaska, so that's still a dream of mine. But this cruise we took was a very fun cruise, and we had a good time. So we were still kind of newlyweds. I mean, we had been married for 2 years. Basically, it was our 2-year anniversary because we got married right before spring break as well.
So did that make a stop at Pound Town then?
Wow.
This episode is getting out of control.
But what I loved about the cruise was the food and just the nonstop great stuff that you can eat there and do. And it was just fun. It was easy and fun. It was an easy trip. It did end with a very down note because we were supposed to spend the weekend in Miami. And Pete, were you supposed to meet us in Miami? Why do I have this weird feeling that we were going to or was that a different trip? Do you have a memory of that?
Or a different Pete?
No,
No.
I was.
Well, anyway, we were going to spend the weekend in Miami after the cruise, and I actually got a phone call on the cruise the last night, and my grandma had just died, and so we had to cancel that and head right back home. So it had a sad ending and a very memorable ending, and it was kind of a shocker. So that wasn't a great memory at all, but I was able to get back at least. That's the good news. And we had a wonderful time remembering her because she was a great lady. This is the year. So you mentioned you had lived in your townhouse. This was your third summer. Mine as
Yeah.
well. We lived 2.5 miles apart
Oh, it was
in
awesome.
different townhomes in Burnsville. And so it was kind of like starting that next phase. We had been married now for 2 years. And so we were looking forward to trying to start a family. That didn't happen right away, but that was kind of where we were at. I was also taking master's classes for work. So I was spending one weekend a month doing master's classes. And I ended up finishing that the next year. So this was right in the middle of that. At my job was changing a little. So I almost got cut from my teaching position after my third year because that happens quite often, but I had to move schools in my district. And so I was able to keep my job that way. But then after that 1 year, I moved back to where I was, and I've been there ever since. And that's where I wanted to be. So I was like now fully ensconced. Do you know that word, Pete? Ensconced into my position at school. The principal wanted me back there. I got back there. Everything was good. And I had like a stable position now because at this point it was going to be hard for me to probably get cut because, I still could have, but it was much better. And in addition to that, this is the year where I really started to become a coach. So I was
That's
coaching
right. I forgot about the
3
coaching.
sports at this year. I coached tennis and
Right.
golf and basketball, a fall, a winter, and a spring sport. All girls, all middle school girls, which were great to coach because they're fun and they're not quite as competitive and serious. And so it was a fun job and it was really good extra money there when I was younger. I stopped doing that when we had our own kids, but it was definitely a good experience to get into that and like meet kids at a different level and get a different perspective on things. And that was a way to meet some other new people that I got to become really good friends with at school. So it was just like that year where things really started to my life is solid now. Things are really where I want them to be. And that's where I was at. So
Still looking for
That's
that
my-
moment. I
Oh,
think
you
I
are? Sorry.
remember. I think I remember that Gifford and I, and then somebody else. I'm sure Dave too. We went to one of your basketball games, one of your middle school.
Oh
girls'
yeah, a lot of
basketball
people did.
games.
I know Hummel came to a couple. You came and watched one or at least sometime.
Yeah, yeah. Might have been a couple. I don't know, but I do remember going to at least one of your games, if not more, and it
You
was
know what?
fun
I
to
really
watch.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you should.
I don't remember going, but if I did, I probably sat at the end of the bench. Just
I
so
don't
I felt
ever
comfortable.
I don't ever recall you coming to watch me do my job.
I don't recall actually you come. I remember Hummel coming and my family coming, um,
But not me, huh?
but you must have. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I know that I was for sure there, and I know that Gifford was at the same game too, because we
Okay,
were
well that's
together.
great.
Yes.
Excellent.
Are we
Hey
moving
Pete,
on to me? Well,
what do
yeah.
you got?
Well, 2003 was, I'm ensconcing myself right now back in my mind, back to 2003, and commiserating what might have happened that year.
I hope you're writing
Um,
these words down so you remember them.
no, I'll forget them in 10 minutes. Um, but I'm just going to keep repeating them during this episode so that way they ensconce themselves into my head. Anyway, 2003, it was a year we had actually never lived in a townhome. We purchased our home in 2000, and so those first few years we were spent a lot of nights just kind of doing upgrades and a lot of painting, tearing down walls, and electrical work, plumbing work that I had no idea how to do, but I just kind of figured it out as I went because we weren't going to pay anybody to do it. Sometimes it probably would have been safer to do so. I do remember. I don't. It probably was 2003. I can't remember the exact year, but there was a nice little fireworks show that I gave Jenny when she was cooking, and I was working on a light switch, and something came in contact, and there was a huge, like it was like fireworks, and it's probably lucky that I didn't die. Um, but it was exciting. Um, um, but also, I think 2003 was a year. So I don't, in my corporate jobs, I don't typically make it a point to go out and make a lot of new friends. Actually, I kind of do my own thing. I do my job. I have my lunch while I'm surfing the internet or something or whatever. But I did 2003 was a year where I started to make some really, really great lifelong friends at the former employer that I was at. This was the year, you guys know Paul and Jenna. Really, really great friends of mine.
I
Gifford,
do. I don't know if Gifford
I don't,
does.
I thought Gifford might have met Paul a time or two. I don't know about Jenna, but anyway, they actually met that same day. It was their first day at the former employer, and I met them that same day that they met each other, and eventually she had another boyfriend at the time, but then they broke up and a couple of years later, and then so those two started dating because it was like friends where we would go to lunch together every single day. We just had a great time, and oftentimes after work we would go out, happy hours, whatever. We were on kickball teams together. Just a lot of great memories with really a group of about 4 or 5 other people too, but they were the ones that really stuck and are lifelong friends. And I know they listen to the show, so a shout out to them. Um, so that pretty much rounds out my great memories. There wasn't a whole lot else going on that year, but
I
yeah,
have a
I
couple
think
others I'll add in if you're done.
yeah, you can.
Because Gifford brought up the Wild and brought up sports, and I was sitting here thinking, and this was quite a year for Minnesota sports, and I can remember 3 specific things: one good and 2 very, very bad. What do you want me to start with?
Well,
Let's start with the good first.
Okay,
right.
so you mentioned going to the Twins games. This is the year the Twins were supposed to be really good because 2002 was the year, like, they went to the
Yep.
ALCS and became
Yep.
good again. They started the year very poorly and they were under 500 at the All-Star break. But do you guys remember what turned that whole season around right at the All-Star break?
Oh,
They
Shannon
made
Stewart.
Shannon
Shannon
Stewart.
Thank you, Pete.
Shannon Stewart came in, and my goodness. And actually, speaking of the Twins and Dave and all this, my wife, I believe it was her, got free tickets to the first game after the All-Star break. And her and I and Dave and his wife went to that Twins game. First game, Shannon Stewart was there, and the Twins just destroyed the A's. and they just were off and running from there, and they just lapped the field the rest of the year. Of course, they lost to the Yankees in the playoffs, but
Weird.
up until then, it was great.
I think we all watched that game together too, didn't we? The three of us. Was it at your place? That we
No,
watched when they one of the games. I think that they lost to the
playoffs, you mean?
Yankees anyway in the playoffs. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, we did, because we watched, I think it was the game where Brad Radke, where they played the God Bless America and had the extra long seventh inning
Oh, is
stretch.
that game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
It's terrible.
All right. So what
Anyway,
are the bads?
The other bad was, this is the year, so the Vikings were going to back into the playoffs, and it ended in the most unbelievable fashion
that
you could
the
ever remember.
Cardinals game?
The Cardinals.
Nate Poole catching it in the end zone,
Uh,
which, by the way, wasn't even in bounds, but they had that ridiculous push-out rule
You're right.
at the time.
Yep.
And so the Vikings were eliminated by this horrible team in this horrible game, and everybody still knows the soundbite of PA.
Right.
And the other bad was, so I'm a huge Gopher basketball fan. They had two kind of mediocre, kind of decent years before this. And then this year they signed Chris Humphreys. He came from Duke. He was going to go to Duke, and he changed his mind. He was 5-star, superstar basketball player. And he comes in, and he's averages a double-double. He's amazing as a player individually, but it was one of the worst seasons in the history of Gopher basketball that year, and led to nothing good. So a lot of
Lovely.
sports memories that you made me think of there.
But he eventually married a Kardashian for a while, right?
Oh, yeah, he did okay with himself. He just ruined our program for a while.
So there's that.
Right.
All right, so we're going to talk about our favorite movies, TV, and music of the year tonight of 2003. Pete, you went last with your memories, so why don't you choose what we start with?
Movies.
Okay.
Well, kick us
Why
off.
don't you lead
That,
us
by
off?
the way, was the what I just did there. I
Game
recall
show.
from the game show. Yep. What game show was it? It's
Press your
not
luck?
Tic-Tac-Toe.
nope.
Joker's
Oh.
Wild.
I think it was
I don't know.
from Scrabble, the game show with Chuck Woolery. But
Oh,
that's for a
maybe.
different episode. I think that
Well-
when the letters would go back and forth and they would stop on
Yeah.
the right spot. That's how I remember it.
You now have two reasons to go back and listen to our inaugural first podcast, because we also discussed at length game shows in that 1982 episode. So
And that was an excellent segment.
if you didn't listen to the first time to us to go listen to it, what are you waiting for? Go
Right.
do it now.
You are, as a listener, you are ensconced with reasons to go back and listen.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
think
sure
you're
I'm
really
using that word
stretching.
correctly
Yeah.
anymore.
You keep using that word. I
You
don't
keep
think
using
it
that
means-
word.
All right. Did
I
I,
don't
say
think it knows
movies?
what
I
that
don't
means.
even remember.
You said
Okay.
movies.
You said movies.
My favorite movie of 2003, Brad, I'm guessing that you have this on your list, but Gifford, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
But it was a great movie. It's not like a super well-known movie, but I thought that the way that it was done, and it was just like suspenseful, and just it was almost a little like the Blair Witch Project, but it was a movie called Open Water. You remember that movie?
Oh,
I
I
remember that
totally
movie.
missed that.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I saw that
Actually-
movie in the movie theater because my wife is obsessed with sharks and shark movies, and we went to the Uptown Theater and very,
Yep.
very excited to see that movie.
For the listeners that have not heard of the movie, what it's about is that it's a tour group. It's a scuba diving tour group that goes out on a boat, and it's mainly about this couple.
I think
and
they're just snorkeling.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there's.
I don't
I thought
remember,
they were.
actually.
I thought they were scuba diving because they did go underwater
You might be right.
for a while.
Well,
And,
the second one it was a group. Open Water 2, there's a group. Open Water is just a couple, I thought.
Well, it's a
Oh,
group
I
that
thought
goes.
they
It's a
got
tour
separated.
group, and then they get separated, and then the tour guide, miscounts
yes,
before
yes.
they
Yeah.
head back.
Yep.
And didn't realize that there was still two people in the water, and they're out in the middle of the ocean, and so they're
Right.
stranded in the middle of the ocean, and there's nothing left for them to do.
Yes,
and
you're
then
correct.
and of course it's shark infested waters, and it's a really really good movie. I remember it, but
Yes.
I did not
Um,
have that. I missed that one, but I agree with you that that should have at least been in my like mentions because that was a big movie for us at the time.
Yeah, I
the
remember
number
that one as well.
the number 2 movie I had on my list. I still love this movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. Jenny loves it too. It's very fast paced. It's fun. The Italian Job.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I think a lot of people have seen that movie.
I love
Great
that movie.
action. It's a little bit far fetched, but who cares? It's a lot of fun.
It's a caper
was a
movie.
lot of fun.
I love a good caper.
Who
And
doesn't
that
love a good
Yes.
caper?
and that is what that
Yeah.
movie is. So that yes, that is a great one, Pete. Good pick there.
We should
Thanks,
do a
so far.
podcast on capers.
Yeah.
2 for 2. Yeah.
Caper month.
Dom capers. We could do a whole episode on
On
former
the food.
Packers defense. Yeah.
The food.
I did put Love Actually then at number 3.
Wow.
I didn't see the
A new
movie at
fan.
the time, but yeah, I did. As I looked at all of the movies that were that came out in 2003, this is where I put that one. Number 4, we've talked about this one in another episode, and Brad, I think that you said you hadn't even seen it. I recommend it. John Cusack and Runaway Jury.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
I haven't
good.
seen that.
It's a
Yeah.
John Grisham suspense movie. It's pretty good. I did have the other ones I had on my list are all kind of around equal. I had next Pirates of the Caribbean. We used to watch all those movies a lot as a family, but this was the best of the 3. They just got worse and worse, and I think the third one was terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
I could only handle the
but the-
first one, and
but the
I don't
first
even
one
like
was
that
good.
anymore.
Yeah, this is the
It's
year
so
the first one
long.
came.
It just ugh.
Yeah.
But I do like
but-
the ride. We were just in Disney World, and I
Yeah.
love going on the ride.
Absolutely. And then I had just honorable mentions: Old School, School of Rock, and Finding Nemo. I enjoy Finding Nemo as a fun Disney movie. But anyway, that was
So-
my list. Yeah,
Did you forget Elf, or does Elf not even make your?
I guess I forgot Elf. That's weird. It should be on there.
I thought you would have that in
It's a
there.
mistake. That's an oversight.
Well, we all
Huh.
have stories.
Yep. Let's turn it over to Gifford. I'm interested to see what he has to say.
Oh, he said
Okay.
he has a big list.
Yeah, I marked down so many movies, but I do have a top 5. So I will start with that, and then I'm just gonna go through just a whole bunch of other movies that I love. But my top 5, I got Elf at number 5, Pirates of the Caribbean at number 4, Old School is number 3 for me, then Love Actually, and number 1 for me was Kill Bill Volume 1. Really am such a huge fan of that movie and any Tarantino movie, really. And that one did not disappoint. And did we go to Volume 1 or Volume 2 for Dave's? Like we did something with Dave's Bachelor.
I saw volume
think it
1
must
in
have
the
been
movie
1.
theater, and
Well, it
that's
must
the
have
only
been
one
1.
I've seen. So
Yeah.
that must be what you're referring to.
That was for Dave's. Yeah, we did with not really a bachelor party, but just
Oh,
something
so we
to
did that like in the afternoon, and then did others. That I didn't realize.
Well, and that was the
but-
night. That was the night of the Gopher Michigan game too. Remember the huge blow up with where the
No.
Gophers had the lead and the Michigan came back in the football game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember.
that was that night,
Speaking
too.
of 2003 and disasters, that was the worst disaster
Oh, yeah.
of the entire year.
Right,
My God, I can't believe I forgot that.
right. So a couple others that I really loved. Pete, when you said John Cusack, I thought you were going with Identity. Identity is a phenomenal movie, kind of a
I haven't
psychological
either.
thriller. You
I don't
not
think
seen
I've
that?
even heard of it. No.
Oh my word!
Yeah, it
You-
wasn't a big movie, but it was a really well done.
You need to watch that movie. Phenomenal movie. Seriously,
All
write
right.
it down.
See
and
ya.
watch it.
Oh, you mean later?
Two Matrix movies came out this year. The second and the third, Reloaded and Revolutions. I was a big fan of those.
They came out the same year?
One in the first part of the year, one in the right at the end of the year.
That seems excessive.
Well, yeah. Another great caper movie that came out this year was Confidence. Rachel Weisz and Ed Burns.
That's what I
Um,
don't know.
That's another. I love that movie. Couple good horror movies that came out: Freddy vs. Jason, the reboot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then 28 Days Later, which was a zombie movie and was interesting to me because much like the reboot for Friday the 13th, where Jason now runs, which was freaky to me, and 28 Days Later, the zombies are really fast and they run. It's not like the old school zombies that just kind of trot along slowly. Also, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle came out that year. That is a very pleasurable movie for a straight man. Just with the outfits that they wear.
Well put.
Thank you. The third installment of the American Pie movies with American Wedding came out. Not the best movie in that series.
That is one of the worst
but
movies,
still,
my God.
I like it. And another good Christmas movie, Bad Santa, came out that year with Billy Bob.
Wow, what a year for Christmas movies.
Yeah. Yes.
And Billy Bob Thornton Christmas movies.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was in Love Actually as well. So yeah, those were a few that I wanted to mention outside of my top 5.
All right. My top 5. There is one I have that you guys have not mentioned. So at number 5, I had Finding Nemo. That was a really good Pixar Disney movie. Mm-hmm. At number 4, I have Bruce Almighty. Neither one of you mentioned that. That's a really good Jim Carrey movie.
Yep.
It seems to get forgotten compared to some of his earlier big ones, but I mean, it's really funny.
It is a really funny.
Yeah.
I had Love Actually and Elf at 2 and 3. I don't really know which order. They're both great. And then my number 1, this is and any one of them could be number 1, but my number 1 is the one movie that if we didn't do this Christmas thing here, this is what I would have picked for a movie, and it is School of Rock. That movie is just so awesome. Jack Black is, again, this is one of those performances, a comedian, not enough credit. Not saying he should have won an Oscar, but I mean, that's how good he was in this movie at that role. And I've watched that movie so many times, and I've showed it in school, and it's great. You mentioned a lot of my others. I did mention Old School, Identity, The Italian Job. A couple that you didn't say. This is not a great movie, but my wife and I went to see the movie Down with Love with Ewan McGregor and Renee Zellweger, and it was like a throwback to like 1940s type romantic meet cute movies, and it was really well done. I mean, it's a very visually appealing, stylish with all the outfits and stuff movies, and I love Ewan McGregor. So I really enjoyed that as a romantic comedy. Open Range with Kevin Costner, a fantastic Western that came out that year. 13, about 2 teenage girls that just do all kinds of bad things and get in trouble and what they go through. It's a great coming of age, one of those kind of hard to watch movies. And then Intolerable Cruelty, which was one of the Coen Brothers movies with George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I really enjoyed that movie. I haven't seen it much since, but I do know that when we watched it, I thought it was really good.
Awesome.
And then there's one more movie that I can't believe maybe Pete didn't bring up, but we cannot do 2003 without giving a special mention to Oh, Hi, Mark.
Oh, right. The Room. Yeah.
The Room came out in 2003.
I didn't write it down because I haven't seen it. So I
know you. I didn't expect you.
I should have.
Hi, Doggy.
Well, yes. And then I saw another one I forgot to mention on my list. I love this movie. It's a Farrelly Brothers movie. Have you guys seen Stuck on You?
I never did. It looked terrible.
Oh, I think it's hilarious. I love it. Greg Kinnear and Matt Damon are conjoined twins.
I remember it.
I love that movie. Ava Mendes looking very good as usual.
By the way, The Room, we have a full episode devoted to that as well. It came out, it was in our 2009 series, and if you listen to it, you'll find out why it was placed there. But we love The Room. It's very important to us, and so it has to be mentioned as a 2003 movie.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. We got
I saw it on the movies list. I figured one of you guys would bring it up.
All right. Pete, you went first there. Gifford, you went second. So you want to do music or TV next, Giff?
Let's do music because that's my weakest point. So
all right,
we can
you're gonna go first.
Sure. I just wrote down some songs that I really liked from 03 that I found. I did double check all of these to make sure that they were released in 03, because if you just go through the top 100, a lot of those came out in 02 or whatever. So
auditing here.
I am not going to rank any of these. I just wrote down some that I remember from that year. Unwell, Matchbox 20. Calling All Angels from Train. Hey Ya from Outkast. Where's the Love by Black Eyed Peas. I Love This Bar, Toby Keith. Still love that song. That's excellent. This One's for the Girl by Martina McBride. And then maybe my favorite song from 03. I'll put this at number 1, and that would be Fountains of Wayne, Stacy's Mom.
Nice. I'm going to talk about them.
So that's my list of, in no particular order, other than Stacy's Mom for number 1.
Well, if we keep our order going, then I guess I'd be next. So I'll follow up on that. So there were several albums that came out this year that I loved. And so my number 5 album, actually I didn't rank these, but my top 5 albums, one of them is Fountains of Wayne, Welcome, Interstate Managers. So I'm a huge fan of that band. I already owned 2 albums of them before this came out. I loved that Stacy's Mom was such a giant hit because it brought so much attention to them because they are amazing. The guy, the lead singer in the band, he's an amazing musician. He did all the music for That Thing You Do. He just died. I think it was like a year ago, and there was all this stuff remembering him. I mean, he was like, they were so awesome, and they were so much more than that one song. But I'm glad they had that one song because it made, like, even the kids I taught in school knew them all of a sudden, and they never would have known them otherwise. So that was one of my albums. Jack Johnson, On and On, came out that year. I loved all his first few albums. Pete Yorn had his second album came out. He's one of my favorite artists, and he had a lot of pretty big alternative hits that year. We love, me and Pete, the Jayhawks, and their album Rainy Day Music came out that year, and that's one of those that my wife loved as well. And our kids, there's a few songs, our kids weren't born yet, but there's a few songs that they know off that because they love them. And then I had Everclear. We actually did a lost episode on an Everclear album because I am a giant fan of Everclear, and this was like their last great album, in my opinion. They still did some stuff after. They actually still are around, but this was their last like big one. This is the one, if you remember the song Volvo Driving Soccer Mom, that was like their last kind of big hit that they had, but I love the whole album. So those are my top 5 albums. Couple others. There's an English band called Travis that I love. They had an album called 12 Memories that came out that year. The Strokes, their second album came out, Room on Fire. I love the Strokes. Pete, you mentioned the band Jet once before. Their debut, Get Born, came out. And then I had 2 others that aren't albums, but Michael Bublé. He kind of hit the scene this year, and my mother-in-law gave me his CD for Christmas because she said that he was compared kind of to Dean Martin, and she knew that I loved Dean Martin and the Rat Pack, and I thought that was really cool. And I do like Michael Bublé. And then finally, maybe, in my opinion, the best or one of the top 5 songs from the entire 2000s to come out that year was Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. That song is just iconic. It's so good. It's amazing. And that bass line, the second you hear it, you're in. So I wanted to mention that too. I didn't have the whole album, but that I like the White Stripes a lot, and that song is fantastic.
Well, that's quite a list. Very well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff for me that year. It was really fun.
I am going to start by saying, hey, we got a bingo. All 3 of us have. Wayne? I have Fountains of Wayne. That's my number 5 on my list of Stacy's Mom. Gifford, I think you said you also had Hey Ya by Outkast.
Yep.
I had number 3, Jet, the Get Born album, and specifically, Are You Going to Be My Girl? Yep. Number 2, this you might find to be an interesting one. I had Hurt by Johnny Cash. It was performed by Johnny Cash, but it was the 9 Inch Nails song. But it was just that song
that came out that year, huh?
That's what according to what I
Wow.
found.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. That's a big miss. by me.
Haunting.
But it's so haunting and raw and for where he was, Johnny Cash was in his life at that time, and there is nobody better at telling a story with his music than Johnny Cash. And this wasn't his song, it wasn't his music, but the way that he did it, it's just he makes it his own and makes it about himself, and it's just perfectly done. And if you see the video, it's amazing.
Yes.
And then I did put a little Foo Fighters on number one. I had at first I had All My Life, but I did a double check on that because wait a second, that was
2002.
actually released in late 2002. But then I switched that out because I had to have Foo Fighters on. From what I found, Times Like These was released in 2003, which is another one of my favorite Foo Fighters songs. So I put that one there.
Yeah. So yeah, I know the album came out in 2002.
Liz.
I didn't realize it was that late in the year though. So
Yeah, I
and
think
it must have
it's
been
at
2003
October.
then that I saw. So I saw the Foo Fighters that year, and one of the guys I mentioned, Pete Yorn, opened for them. I mean, that was a great, great concert. Two of the best back to back.
That's a solid ticket. What they call that.
Yeah. At Roy Wilkins Auditorium, that one was.
Awesome.
All right, I guess we're going to TV, and it's my turn, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're gonna pick
All right.
what we're doing next.
So I didn't have a lot of TV. I had one honorable mention. I had the show Arrested Development. I believe this is the year it started.
It started this year. Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't really watch it immediately. And I didn't like totally get into it immediately, so that's why I put it at my honorable mention. But I mean, I've watched the whole series, so that was a big one. And then I did have Friends at number one. It's seasons 9 and 10. It's hit and
Right.
miss
Not
at this
nearly
point.
as
Like,
good,
I didn't love
yes,
every
yeah.
episode, but still, you put 9 or 10 years of your life into the show, and you want to see the ending. So it's still
You're gonna see it
every
through.
week. Every week you're watching it. Number two, I brought this up once before. I love the show Ed. This is this was, I think, the beginning of the final seasons of Ed 2.
I used to love that show too. That's a good
Such
one.
a good show. Just so nice and happy. On the flip side, not a nice, happy show. I think this is the year it premiered too on FX. The show Nip Tuck started, and when
It
that
sure
show
did.
first came out, we were obsessed. It was
Yeah.
such a good show. They were bad people, but it was this it was a sexy show, and it was on cable, so it was one of those really good first cable shows before that became what everything was. So it went a little farther than your regular broadcast shows, but it's really good for a while. I mentioned at number 4 so we talked about Temptation Island. My other favorite show of that kind was Joe Millionaire, and that came out this year. And Joe Millionaire is coming back next year, just like Temptation Island has done. So looking forward to that. And then my number 5, Gifford, you'll like, was Scrubs.
Excellent. I do
Which
like
I'm
that.
still not sure if I was watching yet at this time. I got into it a few years in, but I love Scrubs.
Well,
and I
that
probably watched
debuted-
it here and there.
That debuted in 2001, so it would have been,
Right.
End of
I
season.
bet I was
2, start of
watching
3.
it not every week, but I bet I was watching it here and there. And eventually I became an every week show. Like, this is great.
Okay.
All right, Pete, it's your turn.
So I had Friends also, just because all the same reasons that you alluded to. Another show that I used to watch a lot around this time that I found was airing, Reno 911. I love that show. It's hilarious. And I see they're coming out with a movie, a new movie that is about the MAGA crowd, right? They're going after.
Is that what it is? I
Yeah.
just heard they're coming out with one. I haven't heard.
It's
the
something
subject
to
matter.
do with making fun of the Trump rallies or something like that. I don't know the details, but I just saw
Well, that'd be
one
almost
poster for it.
impossible. How do you find anything funny about that?
That's a show that looks like I should love it, but I've actually never seen 1 second of it.
Right. I'm kind of the
it's
same
pretty
way.
funny once you get it's a little bit like The Office maybe, where it's like a documentary, and the way it's done, and it's just like they're making fun of shows like Cops basically, and it's hilarious. The main character guy with the mustache, God, he makes me laugh every time. Around this time, we did watch American Idol pretty religiously at the time because I can't stand the show now, but that was when this kind of concept of show was still new and kind of fresh and exciting. And we did get into American Idol, so I did have that one on my list. Will and Grace and Frasier, also staples, sort of like Friends. I had, and then there's just a few others that Jenny really liked the OC, and I kind of got hooked on it. And then some other reality shows, which I'm not even going to go there, but not worth
go there.
That's all I got.
All right. Solid list again. I like it.
right.
So I had one honorable mention. I was watching Fear Factor at this point.
I hated that show. I could not watch it.
I
refused
didn't
to watch
mind
it.
I like that one. My number 5, first season of the show, I did watch it every week, and that was Nip Tuck. I did start watching that one.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
tough people. I mean, bad people, but that one lady that was on there, she was worth tuning in.
She's from Minnesota, I think.
Is she?
I
Okay.
think so. Hey, Gifford.
yeah.
Tell me what you don't like about yourself.
Wow. How much time do we have?
You remember that was what they said,
Yes,
right?
that's what they'd say
Okay.
to the people.
You
when they
acted
come in
like
for
you didn't know what I was talking about.
for their
That's a whole nother-
consultation. Yes.
That's our next episode. What
Right,
Gifford doesn't
yes.
like about himself.
Strap in, listener.
It's a real caper.
Yes. My number 4 was CSI, the original CSI in Vegas. Number 3,
yeah.
again with you guys, hanging in there with friends to the bitter end. Number 2, this podcast's requisite mentioning of The West Wing from Gifford.
Oh, yes, West Wing guy.
Yep. And then my number 1 was Scrubs. I loved it from the beginning. I don't know how many times I've rewatched the entire series since, but that's always going to be high on my list. So Scrubs coming in at number 1. And that's what I got. That's everything.
That's gonna wrap it up.
We're going to wrap the present.
That's
So
was
we
the
opened
best
the
episode of
package,
the year
but now
right
we're going to
there.
wrap it back up.
Well, yeah,
Like
because
a-
we wanted to check and see what was in it before Christmas, and now we're going to be
Well-
sneaky and wrap it back up.
Oh, now we got.
What are we going to do with it now?
Put it back under the tree for all our listeners to open up.
Take
and
my tree down. Christmas is over.
Oh, that's true. This is coming out after Christmas, isn't it?
It's not New Year's. It stays up until at least.
Yeah, it
New
stays up
Year's.
till
Come on.
yeah.
All right.
You always take it down hungover on New Year's Day.
That's
It'll
right.
be a special package for another special month later on in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, are we taking a little break?
Yeah, what are we
I
going
think so.
to do in 2023, guys?
2023.
I mean, 22. You mean? Are you
I
skipping?
don't know, I
Oh
haven't
my
thought
God.
that. You skipped the whole
well,
year.
It's because I made this golf trip already
For
and I planned so
23?
far ahead that
We are taking a break,
Yeah.
I guess.
okay, 2022. Now see, go ahead, make fun of me all you want.
Okay, we will. We would like to encourage everybody on Twitter to go make fun of Brad on @PopYearbook. That would be great. So we're going to talk a little bit about our future plans, or just that we're taking a break in January, or what?
Well, so not like a full break. We're going to put out at least 1 or 2 episodes, right?
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah,
going to
we
be
got-
a
we
little
have to
different. We're not
tantalize.
going to do our usual routine of a full month of a topic. There'll be maybe we'll go 2 every other week in January. We're going to not necessarily retool. But when did we start this podcast, Pete?
It was about January of 2020, 2021.
Well, according to Brad, we started it in 2022.
well, actually, I should say we started it way back in like June of 2019. But our first
was
episode came
warm-up.
out in
That was minus
February of
Yeah.
last year. So January is going to mark our 12th month. So we're going to take a little kind of break, kind of refuel ourselves, put out some shorter content, talk about what we're doing, and then in February we'll restart with what we could call our season 2, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
getting shit faced in January.
Excellent. Good to know.
So we'll be around. We'll be active. We'll be trying to hopefully have some of our one or two fans interact with us, and we'll let you know
Yes.
what we're up to.
Yeah.
But we won't be the weekly, water cooler talk that we usually are in
Got
January.
to build up a little anticipation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
All
have
right.
anything that you'd love to see us do next year, let us know. What do you like about our show? What would you like to see us do when we restart?
We'll do anything. We really will.
Right.
There's
But
nothing
we already
that we
did
won't
say
do.
if we become the number one podcast, we'll podcast naked, right? Like
Podcast
Bill
naked.
Nighy.
We did.
and-
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll
So
do it.
that's on the table, people.
Well, I don't have pants on right now, so I'm anticipating the number one podcast. Just getting used to it.
All right. Well, be sure to comment, like us on Facebook, Twitter, whatever your platform of choice is. Leave reviews. That would be great. Go out and listen to Preacher Row. Search them out. Can you find them on the Google? Like their music? Do they have music on that you
I'm
can just
not
go find?
Sure, if you
We should
can.
probably find that out before we promote them.
Right.
Well-
but that would be a good band to rock the new year in with. I guarantee you that.
It would be. Oh yeah, they will rock you.
I'm sure you can Google them. I think they have it. So it's Preacher, Preacher, Row, ROW.
Yeah.
So if you want to search, I'm sure there's something out there that you can find, but you can always hear their two good songs for sure here with us every week.
Yes.
Yep. Great songs they are. Here it is, Standing on My Own 2 Feet. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. Happy 2023.
Standing on my own 2 feet. No one's gonna comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your song is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. And start to me on my back. I turn and I look to you. I'm scared but there's nothing I can do.